So now there are senior bureaucrats in the Maharashtra government downloading this Ludo Supreme Gold app saying, "Ye hai kya?
Correct.
What is this? Am I gambling or am I skilling?"
From $100,000 chicken nuggets to people climbing trees and sitting there for days and weeks at a stretch just to get that perfect photo, to Bitcoin sudden millionaires. We seem to have it all in this particular episode of So Far So Good. Welcome back. We are Jaggu and Tarana. This is your midweek relief from whatever is going on in your life. Aajkal sabki zindagi mein lots and lots of stress. So we get together and chat with you and bring you happier news from around the world. It is the news, but it is just happier.
Correct. Can I tell you what is making me happy this week?
What, Jaggu? What?
I have a mail from very senior people at Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund and SPI Funds Management.
They are basically giving us our money back.
Saying that, so I don't know why I'm feeling rich. My money that was at court is coming back to me. I should be worried about the fact that money is at court. I'm not worried about it. I'm just excited that my money is coming.
Because that message or what that email and all like makes you usually feel like good. It's coming in, whether it's your money.
पैसे आ रहे realize मेरा ही है.
Correct.
But I'm excited.
I'm glad that you are taking everything in a good way, because in the previous episode when we asked people, are you wearing a blue t-shirt or a green t-shirt? Everybody has said blue.
Yeah. Everybody's colorblind.
So we have...
it is a greenish green.
Okay. So we have all established that Jaggu is special and he looks at the world with like filtered lenses. So it's okay. Everybody has also apologized for
in this day and age, if you're not looking at it, in this day and age, if you're not looking at it through filtered lenses, then your mind goes mad.
Yeah, but most people
go for
rose-colored tinted glasses, but no, Jaggu's going for green, a shade of green. But
yeah, I'm done with rose.
Yeah,
I'm an environmentalist.
So the high courts in India, we know are very, very busy, because typically they have like thousands and thousands of cases pending, and they try and get through them one after the other, which is why when like some unusual cases like reach their eye, we wonder how did those cases come in the front, and other more, I don't know, urgent cases seem to not be able to reach the front.
Arnab Goswami is very good at that, bringing his case to the front.
Yeah. So there is a politician who is like from a small regional party in Maharashtra, the MNS, who has approached the Bombay High Court and asked the Bombay High Court to rule on whether Ludo is a game of skill or a game of chance. And the internet has totally melted, saying, "Ha, bas ye karwa lo. Ab ye karwa lo." As it is, Juhi Chawla sang in had her fans sing in that court. Yeah, it has nothing to do with her, but anyway, everyone's blaming Juhi Chawla. And now this, like, why must our high courts be worried about Ludo? So he does have a valid point, but that headline is too eye-catching. What is a valid point? Now, during COVID, Ludo suddenly became like a rage. People started buying Ludo sets and all, because they realized we're all stuck together. It's a chill game, and it reminds us like of our, youth or whatever it is. Yeah, fun happens. So then people started playing Ludo. Then something called, let me try and show you. Something called Ludo Supreme was launched, and this is basically Ludo in this thing. Online format. App. There. Okay. So it's the Ludo Supreme Gold app that you're supposed to download. Play, win, repeat. So the politician, whose name is Keshav Mude, has basically said that these guys are encouraging gambling, because they say that anybody can win, and you will only win, and the more you play, the more you win, and nobody is a loser. And they've said they have converted our beloved Ludo into a betting / gaming, gambling online version. And so, Milord, you must tell us if it is a game of skill or a game of chance. Because if it is a game of chance, then the Maharashtra Prevention of Gambling Act of 1887 will come into play. And then it will be applicable to this Ludo Supreme.
So anyway, I'm not clear how this whole gambling thing works. Even if it is a game of chance, isn't some element of skill involved? Whether
Ludo?
it is rummy or poker or flush.
No.
Some element of skill is
But
involved.
you can't combine those games. Rummy, poker and all is like skill because you're supposed to like bluff and, like there is
But
skill
that's
involved.
considered gambling.
And what is Ludo? Ludo is just like roll the die and then you go.
But then that is also considered gambling. Na? It's illegal. Na?
So anywho, we are waiting with bated breath.
Even I want to know how this works out.
So the Bombay High Court, as asked, as we speak, has sought the response of the Maharashtra government on the police seeking to declare Ludo is a game of chance and not a game of skill.
So 1 minute, this is about an app. And then somebody from the MNS has said this app could be gambling. The Maharashtra government is generally unaware of the fact that this is happening because they have a solid COVID issue that they need to deal with. So now there are senior bureaucrats in the Maharashtra government downloading this Ludo Supreme Gold app saying, "Ye hai kya?
Correct.
What is this? Am I gambling or am I skilling?"
Yes.
Very good. That's a productive use of time.
Yes, of course it is.
Now here is someone else who has dealt with a very productive use of time. Achha, but moving on to something that most of us still don't understand, and that would be Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin is like very complicated.
Now, MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology,
very bright
they have been dealing
people
with Bitcoin only the last 2-3 years. But they're smart chaps. They have been looking at Bitcoin since 2014, so much so that they actually did a study.
Okay.
So here's what they did. They put the word out within campus, so open to all undergrads, I would assume. We want to do a study. Anybody who wants to join in, please register. So about 3,000 people registered.
These are all students from MIT.
These are all students from MIT only, all bright minds.
And they were researching Bitcoin for a company.
So somebody within MIT was doing a project. So he Jama Karod the Janta. 3,000 people came. They had to answer a questionnaire.
Okay.
And they had to go over some educational material.
Okay.
For which they were going to be paid $100 in Bitcoin.
At that point, it must have felt like a little bit of like jhol, right?
But it's a Bitcoin study. So, I mean, it's fair
that we are paid in Bitcoin. Yeah,
part of the process.
Okay. But at that point, was it usable? Like you could convert it into like, I don't know, like regular
I believe you could.
paper currency.
I believe there were some outliers that were allowing purchases in Bitcoin.
Okay. I think pizza and all you could have like done at that point.
Exactly. That's where this story is going. So here's what happened. There is a whole different study that now what has happened to all those people who were given Bitcoin. Here's the thing, right? That $100 worth of Bitcoin is now worth $13,000.
Okay, 1 minute. So they were given $100 worth of Bitcoin, which at that point was how many Bitcoin?
What I think were about 1/3 of a Bitcoin.
Oh, 1/3 of a Bitcoin. Okay. So it was like a little bite of a Bitcoin. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now it is that $100 is worth $13,000. The point is how many of them held on to it. And that is now becoming a bit of a study in its own right, informally. So about 1/4 of those people immediately, they had Bitcoin in their digital wallet. They immediately sold it and put $100 in their pocket and they went out.
So some 750 people immediately said money in the hand is better than
correct
2 in the form of Bitcoin in the future. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another 1/4, by the time this study got over, had sold it.
Okay.
Then what happened is that the price of Bitcoin, it seems, fell.
Oh, it fell. Okay.
So that $100 became about $50. A whole bunch of other students got jittery, sold it and went and bought pizza.
Fair enough.
Now the question is, how many people still own it? They have been able to find one person.
Out of 3,000, only one person said, no, I'm going to hang on to it.
They have been able to find.
Okay.
They're still looking to see how many others kept it.
And this one person they have found, has he or she sold it now or is still hanging on?
No, and that's the thing. So it seems because you had it in a digital wallet and, wallets changed, they didn't allow you to keep crypto, all of that nonsense was happening. She had to change her holding of Bitcoin into different digital wallets. And she says, I cannot believe that there was a time when I was thinking, is it really worth all this trouble? Why am I doing this for like $100? Yeah. So now that is worth $13,000. She's still not selling it because she's saying if it ever hits the price that I paid for my entire MIT education, I will then sell it and I will say to myself, MIT's been paid off.
Wow.
So but in the meantime, they're still looking for others.
So if if you were given this, what would you have done? Because you're a gambler, Jaggu.
I know. So that's an interesting point. In 2014, I might have been a bit of a Sattodia. Nowadays, I'm not.
What is a Sattodia? Somebody would have sattabazi in the stock market.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure what I would have done.
Sattodia. Okay.
I'm unclear of the politics of the situation in my head.
So I know me. I'm a non-gambler. So I would have said, if I'm due $100 and this is worth $100 right now, let me take my due money. And I would have been happy about it.
You would have kept it?
No.
You would have kept the $100 in your pocket.
I would have exchanged it for $100 and then kept the money.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I might not have. Let's see what happens with it. I might have done that.
You might have hung on to it.
Correct. Now, a lot of people have a lot of this kind of money, right?
Like,
so sometimes you want to blow it up.
Okay.
Sometimes you just want to do something silly with your money.
Yes.
How about if you bought a McDonald's chicken nugget, one chicken nugget, I did not use plural, one chicken nugget for $100,000.
Dear viewer, we have now moved on to another story. In the meanwhile, please remember to like, add your comments. We really want to know with you, consider this our study on you. If you were given something which is worth $100 7 years ago, what would you have done with it? You already know Jaggu and my answer. We really want to know from you. So remember in the comments to give us that. Also, quick reminder, if you're watching this and you aren't a subscriber, why? Become a subscriber, be part of the family, turn that bell icon on. Yeah. And share it with like-minded people. Okay? Good. Okay.
As you must.
Now we are on $100,000 chicken nuggets.
Chicken nugget.
$100,000 for one chicken nugget. Yes.
Okay. Now, Tarana, explain to me if you know of this, because I don't know of this. There is something called About Us. Now, whether it is a movie or an animation or
no, it's supposed to be a video game
or a video game or whatever it is. It's About Us is a thing.
Yes, About
and
Us
it's a very
is
popular
supposedly a popular video
of.
game. Yeah, because we are not gamers, Jaggu. We are like beyond the gaming age and all.
Correct. And within About Us, there is something called a SUS or a SUS. SUS.
Okay, SUS.
This chicken nugget happened to be shaped like a SUS/SUS.
Which is a character in this video game.
Exactly right. So it goes up for auction. Auction price starting at 99 cents, which is a fair price to pay for a uniquely shaped chicken nugget.
Because this is like, it's the equivalent of when you find like Ganeshji in a watermelon or like, some random shapes that you see in fruits and stones and this and that. So, okay. So somebody found a chicken nugget that looked like this character, Gus.
And put it up for auction or online, yeah.
So let me see if I have an image. Yes, I do. Because the image is...
It does look reasonably like SUS, whatever.
Okay, wait. Okay. So this is the character.
Yeah.
And this is the chicken nugget.
Yes.
Okay.
Fair enough. No?
Looks
reasonable.
I mean, only if you put these two images like next to each other. Otherwise, it would just be a regular chicken nugget. I mean, to me, it looks like a upside down bunny head.
Oh, interesting.
So if I turned it around, I'd be like, it looks like a thin Mickey Mouse. It's up to you. But anywho, because it looks like...
So, but this is not a decapitated bunny head. It is from About Us. And there are enough fans of About Us that are clearly very rich fans that said, Arey this is so perfect for my chicken nugget collection.
Yes.
They have driven 10 hua, 30 hua, 40 hua, 100. It hit $100,000. Somebody went and bought that for $100,000. The deal was that it is edible for about 14 days. It will be shipped to you prior to expiry. So the auction also must have happened very quickly.
What do they mix in this? So these are McDonald's chicken nuggets. What do they put in their chicken nuggets that you could eat them 14 days later?
I'm not exactly sure. But somebody said...
Preservatives, oh my God. And I don't think this is a frozen meal. It was not part of a frozen meal. It was part of a special meal created for like BTS, the Korean band.
The band, yeah.
And it was a special meal.
And in collaboration of them.
Something like that. And then the shape of it happened to become like Gus.
So, About Us got into the action. They started tweeting about it. So everybody else got to know, whoever was not aware of it. Somebody else was saying, if I was a millionaire, I would definitely buy it. So there was also encouragement happening over there. other people were piling on and saying, "Arey, isme thoda Szechuan sauce dalo, ye falana mayonnaise dalo, chipotle sauce dalo." It was going nuts. It was a full-blown circus.
The internet has a lot of fursat right now with like half the world under lockdown and most people not really going out. So yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so the story went mad. I don't know. Do we know who's done it?
No, I have no idea, but I'm sure some name will come out at some point.
Okay. We're not even going to ask you, would you spend $100,000 on a chicken nugget? Because we know the answer is going to be no.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let us
but this is crazy. No. Yes. So there are good people in the world. Then there are the extra good people like Sonu Sood types. You know, like they have a lot of empathy. And they're like, oh, you know, people are suffering. Let me see what I can do. And then there are the bad ones. We also know who the bad people are. This is about the very sweet ones who like feel like that about the animal kingdom. Bezuban, Janwar, you worry about, you know, because they can't speak for themselves, like the right people will stand up for animal rights and all. So building the block. I'm not quite sure whether this is love or this is stupidity. So I would like to draw everyone's attention to Cuba. Okay?
Cuba. Okay.
Cuba. Eye on Cuba, because our eye is always on like everything in the world. So in Cuba, there is a 62-year-old gentleman who is in the news because for the last 20 years, he has become friends with and has been looking after a colony of 100 pelicans.
Pelicans? Oh, not bad.
Okay. So pelicans are those, I mean, they're the flighty birds which have that big pouch under their bill. And they store their food and fish, etc. over there.
Okay. They're a little bit seashore types, huh?
Yeah, there's seabirds. So anywho, now Cuba, everybody should be aware, Cuba is quite a poor country and their government has been I think a bit of a failure. It is a dictatorship. Started off very idealistically.
Communist country.
Yeah, it's a failed communist country. And even till date, they don't really have enough food, enough water. Internet speeds are very, very low. People are generally poor unless you work for the army, in the army, or are corrupt. But bottom line, uncle used to work in a fishing company and was a fisherman. And then he lost his job because the company shut down. And since then, he's been making money selling ice or relying on his relatives who live in the United States to send him little money. Somehow, in all of this, he said, but I will look after these pelicans because they are like my children. And yeah, and it involves him like going around his whole village, looking for scraps of food, collecting it and feeding these pelicans. And he does this 3 to 4 times a day and they tend to love him. Now, there are some adorable photos.
And he's been doing this for the last 20 years.
20 years. And so he has, he said, they are like my children. He does have real children also, human children. Those human children are unfortunately not in Cuba, but I think most youngsters who can get out of Cuba to try and make some money. So anyway.
So they're the ones in the US probably trying to send him some money.
Yes. So anywho, this is uncle surrounded by the pelicans. Can you say they're following him? Okay. Uncle has got food and uncle has got pelicans. There's a nicer photo there. I think that's probably his house.
Oh, lovely.
And they do tend to listen to him. He also, like, in case they have like fish hook tears or injuries and all, he fixes it for them. Okay. Wow. This really looks like they're sitting around waiting to hear from him or talk to him or hang.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is him feeding fish to the pelicans. Quite cool.
I want to look at the commitment of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So to be a poor person.
It's not like the pelicans can't feed themselves. I mean, the whole point is that they can.
Yes. So.
But he's making a spectacular effort.
Yeah, he is. And he's a very, very sweet gentleman. And everyone's like, they don't make many people like him.
Correct.
Unless.
That is, I'm very impressed.
Unless, Changu, you're in Thailand. Because another equal animal lover, or maybe more, has arrived on the internet because a veterinary doctor has recently posted a story about how a man walked into his clinic and said, "Can you help my friend?"
Who's his friend?
Friend was a cockroach.
Okay.
And
okay then.
Yes. So and the doctor has said, I'm putting up this post not to laugh or to make everybody laugh, but to point out, like, wow, look at this. This is humanity. This is empathy. This man felt something for a creature such as a cockroach that usually evokes the opposite direction, like reaction. So it's not even like it was his pet cockroach. It's not like
I was about to ask.
No. It was not Tommy the cockroach.
It was a found cockroach.
Yes. So he said he was walking on the road and he saw someone step on the cockroach.
Okay.
And so he said, oh no. And then he ran to the cockroach and picked it up and took it to the vet.
And I don't think the vets have ever trained on cockroaches. How did the vet handle this?
So the vet basically said, okay, his condition is, 50-50, but they are supposed to survive nuclear holocausts also. So
Correct.
Perhaps you should not worry. And he said, so I just, whatever, I think pretended. What do you do? How do you put a band-aid on a cockroach?
I don't know.
And anywho, so he let him go. We do actually have an image of this particular gentleman, because in case you're wondering, how would you carry a cockroach? Would you carry it like this? Would you put it in a box? How would you even touch it? Because I don't think any of us are touching a cockroach. But this gentleman
put it in a box and put some holes on the box.
Well, this is how he took it.
Okay.
I guess he wanted to get him instant care. So there, it has been...
Like not even wrapped in a tissue.
No, because it was urgent. He's picked it up and run.
To the vet.
To the vet. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'm that much of a good human being. I would not be able to rescue a cockroach.
If somebody did boo behind him and he was a little surprised, he might have squashed the cockroach. That's a risky way to carry a cockroach. I'm not saying I'm aware of a non-risky way. I'm just saying that certainly looks risky to me.
If you see a cockroach,
what is that?
If you see a cockroach, do you stamp on it and kill it? Or you try and pick it up and throw it out of the house?
It depends whether my wife is in the room or not.
If she's around, then you need to kill it.
Yeah. Otherwise, I can brush it off.
I tend to, if I have any creepy crawly, I tend to try and stun them. So like a tupply, so then they're like that.
Oh, then you take it up in a piece of paper and leave them outside the house.
Yes.
So I just want you to know. I want to remind you of the phrase, Tarana. Everybody is brave until the cockroach flies.
Yes. Exactly.
Remember that when you're dealing with the next set of creepy crawlies.
No, flying cockroach are also dying. I'm sorry.
Correct. Correct.
If I manage to I don't know, be around in the same room. But typically with insect, whatever, creepy crawlies or you just little bit stun them. But the thing is, you don't know what is lethal pressure on an insect. So I don't know.
You don't know.
I am just assuming and presuming that I didn't kill any of them. And I just managed to stun, put on a thing and say, abhi ghar jao, bye bye.
And fly them. This guy is looking like the kind of chap who would let mosquitoes bite him.
Hai na? How can I do this?
Poor fellows. They're hungry. Let them eat. Don't worry. Nobody else will allow them. I'll allow them. Very sweet. I mean, you have to think of the compassion that the man has. Very impressive.
Yeah. Right. And if you are compassionate people, remember to like this video. Remember to offer your comments. We love to chat with you. It basically gives us an insight into what you're thinking, what kind of people you are. And of course, subscribe, bell icon, and share with like-minded people. All right.
Distribute it. If you think somebody is going to like this, please send it to them.
Okay. So recently, we're going to leave you with some very stunning images. Okay, of animals. Don't worry, these are not creepy crawly animals. But so there is a Nature TTL Photographer of the Year contest. Okay, and it
is a magazine.
I guess so.
Okay.
So Nature TTL Photographer of the Year 2021. Literally a few days ago, they declared winners. And so the top prize was won by a gentleman called Thomas Vijayan, who sounds Indian. Yes, he is. He's originally from Kerala, now lives in Canada, who took quite outstanding photos. So I just want to show you the top three from 3, 2, and then Apna Vijayan's photo. Okay. They're quite cool. So this is.
So you're showing me number 3 now.
I'm showing you number 3, or it's called a commendation, not really like 3. Okay. So this is.
These are what? Wolves, dogs?
Wild dog puppies playing in the dust, seen rising from like very, very dry soil. And this is basically in South Africa. So the photographer is Ben Smarte, and the photograph is called Dust Bath.
Oh,
Dust Bath. And she spent 5 weeks chasing these dogs in the dust to take this photo.
But incredible. Look at the lighting she's got.
Yeah. So then there is this. Now this is the runner-up photo. It is called Fish Caught by Surprise.
Whoa. Is there a look of surprise on the fish's face?
It looks surprised.
Yeah. The mouth is open like, oh. Correct.
Okay. Oh my God, I shouldn't have been here. Or like, oh God. Yeah. So
that photograph takes some timing, because it's not like the alligator was moving in slow motion.
Yeah. So taken again in South Africa, a fish caught in the moment it was basically caught by the crocodile, and the look of surprise basically in hindsight realized that this is a great photograph.
Wow.
And that's why this person has submitted it. And now
the
winning photo, which won I think 1,500 pounds as the prize. Yeah. And I think they get a camera also. Got it? This is called. It is basically called The World is Going Upside Down.
This is an orangutan? What is it?
Yes, it is an orangutan.
Okay.
And it
climbing
looks
down from a tree.
No. So this is the photographer went to Borneo, where there are orangutans, wanted to catch the reflection of an orangutan in the water. So the sky that you see
is reflection.
Yes, that's still water. So this is a tree growing totally out of the water, and it involved this photographer, Mr. Vijayan, climbing up and waiting in the tree every day for hours.
No.
So he is actually on top of the tree, and he has taken this photo.
And the orangutan is climbing towards him.
Yes.
I want to know what happened 10 seconds after this photograph was taken.
I don't think orangutans are very. They're not mean or anything. They're sweet. Must have. Or the orangutan said, "Oh, sorry, this tree is already taken. Let me go back."
Or he could have said, "What are you doing in my tree?" Which would have caused some confusion. Let me tell you.
But it's super cool, right? It doesn't look like that's water, but it is actually.
Picture, man.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Fabulous.
It is super. Yeah. So.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. See, so in our animal stories, we decided to leave you with an award-winning photograph, the ultimate photograph of an orangutan, which I don't think many of us have managed to like either see or capture in any possible nice way.
Correct. I have never seen an orangutan as far as I remember.
For that, we have to go to Malaysia and Borneo.
If you have a collection of wildlife photographs that you would like to share with us, please post a few.
Yeah. You can email us actually. Yeah, you can email us because we have a joint email account, taranajaggu@gmail. So whenever if you have like videos or like photos to share and all, please do, because we try and the more you sort of participate, the better it is for all of us.
Correct. Yeah. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, in case you have liked what you have just seen, leave us a comment, give us your thoughts. You can also subscribe. You can hit the bell icon. You'll get notified, and please share with friends and family, people that you think will enjoy this kind of a show. We would be much obliged if you do that.
A very formal. Jaggu has just signed off like a formal letter.
Much obliged.
Kind regards, Jaggu and Tarana.
Kind regards. Correct.
Okay, see you soon. Take care. Okay, bye.
Bye, butterfly.